Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. My name is Francesca Guidote, and I am Lubos Paso's VP of Finance. I'd like to welcome you all to a very special episode of Astig on Air. Here with us this morning are two actresses from Lingid sa Akin, Lubos Paso's play for this year's virtual CPC. Let's all please welcome Julia Lacaster and Marian Gabby Angeles.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
hello. First of all, guys, big congratulations to your performances in Lingid sa Akin. I'm so proud of you guys. And just to check in, how are you guys doing?
Great.
I'm feeling good. I just woke up this morning feeling a little bit like I got some bad head, but aside from that, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow, but I think everyone is. So, especially
Yeah,
for
for sure.
Yeah. Act 2 is coming out tomorrow, 7:30. Oh my goodness. So this episode, it's going to be an interview session with Julia and Gabby regarding the play. Julia and Gabby, I will be asking you both questions that I came up with while also addressing some of the questions we received in Lubos' Instagram, if that's okay with y'all.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, awesome. So let's get down to the first question. Can you guys briefly share who the character is that you're playing and describe them a little bit? Julia, we'll start with you and then Gabby.
Okay. I'm Julia, and I play Cecilia Del Rosario in and Cecilia is a very she doesn't really have her own opinions. She's more of a follower than a leader, but she does care a lot about her family. She's very family oriented. She thinks that she believes in the quote, like, family over everything. She will do anything for her siblings, and yeah, that's basically her.
Thank you, Gabby.
So my character, I play Mrs. Avalos. I am our male character's mom. I'm Jared's mom, essentially, and so I'm kind of more of the social tita that you would call a Filipino tita. I'm more of the tita that is very talkative, is pretty much the person who loves the quote live, laugh, love, is extremely out there, but also very comforting and caring.
Thank you so much, Julia and Gabby. And I gotta move to this one. How was the experience of reading the script before you guys started rehearsing and filming for the play? And did you have any sudden thoughts or first impressions?
Oh my god! I actually, when I read the script, that night that Matt sent it in, I read the whole thing, and I texted him about it. I don't know what I said because I'm trying to find it, but I was like, oh my god, like, the script is insane. Because it was the first time reading through it, and I got really nervous because I was like, oh my god, I have to act that. But it ended up good at the end, so it was great.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess I have a different opinion. So before anyone started practicing their lines, the whole cast did a read through. Long story short, I slept through the read through. Didn't read the script until I had to read my scenes. So I had a delay feeling about this script, but I felt the same way as Julia, where I was thinking to myself, wow, this script slaps, to say the least. It was just so good. It was amazing.
Yeah, I haven't read the entire thing, but seeing what I saw from Act 1, I was so moved, and I cannot wait to see the rest. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to ask Matt for a copy of the script because I want to read it.
After tomorrow, if Matt will let me, I will give you a copy.
Yes, please.
I want to put it on like
it's on Matt.
I want to put it on paperback or something and just display it. The
I
attacking.
know.
Honestly.
So
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. How was rehearsing and filming like, considering that everything was done in your own separate spaces because of COVID?
It's definitely weird because it's like my own room, you know?
Right.
And so I was like, oh my god, everyone's gonna see my room. I actually have to clean before I like film. but but yeah, it was but I guess it was like a lot easier, I guess, because it is like a familiar space. And also I cut since I feel so Cecilia, in Act One, she's very like heavy on her journal, right? But I also like personally, I keep one too, and so I like relate to her a lot. And so I was like, okay, I'm kind of part Cecilia in that aspect. So
Right.
I was definitely in my zone a lot more. But I wish we could have filmed more. I wish we could have filmed in person, especially some of the scenes in Act Two. But
I guess when it came to filming online, I think I kind of had the opposite idea because I've grown up like just staying in my room most of the time and spending time with people virtually. So like I guess like doing this play just like it like I just hopped right in. I just hopped right in. It was fun, it was easy, but at the same time I feel like one of the things I had a lot of issues with was like blocking. So if for you guys that don't know what blocking is, it's like the movement of the characters while you're doing scenes. And to me, I didn't even think about that because technically when we're virtual, like you don't really know where things are being placed. And before Zoom like had like their feature to like rearrange where you could put like your each person, it was like really hard for me to like figure out my left from my right and to see if I was with the same person at that point. So it's really difficult to kind of get those physical humanistic aspects from when you're online. But I think that regardless, the emotion came out beautifully and that the entire cast did amazing.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that 100%. Yeah. And I really liked how you guys utilized like the same Zoom backgrounds to kind of really convey that you're in the same spaces. Yeah, that was really clever.
Yeah, it was.
And then
really
adding like
easy.
background noises.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was gonna happen until I watched it. I was like, oh, there's background noises. But
right.
Yeah, it definitely made it easier.
I want to admit something. Every time a scene of mine came up, I like coincidentally I was out of my room and didn't see it because I'm the type of person who doesn't want to watch herself.
Oh my gosh,
100%.
Bro, I think Francesca was there, but I was cringing the whole time. Like when I
she was like slapping my arm.
Legit.
I was like, I can't watch this. I can't watch this.
Yeah. She was so excited and shy at the same time. Yeah.
I think especially like the dance for Astig. So if you guys haven't seen Act One, I'm actually I'm the solo performer for Astig, and legit, it was the one time I genuinely walked away.
Oh my god!
I'm just gonna watch it.
It was so good.
You did so well.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I was like, I was really nervous for that dance. Like, not even for the rest of it. It was just like that one dance because it was like really hard to learn. But regardless, like, I think every aspect of CPC was just so much fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I know it was.
I'm glad you guys became part of it. Yeah. Anyway, moving to the next question, and this is kind of going off of what Julia was saying a while ago about how she relates to Cecilia in the journal aspect. So how do you relate to your character, and if you don't, how come?
That's the only thing I relate about my character. It's a journal thing. Because like because Cecilia is, well, also the whole family thing too, and like the disappointment, that whole thing. But especially like with how she felt about Jared, in that act, I was definitely like, oh, this is gonna be so hard to act, but I got through it. that was like one of the really hard scenes I had to like really get into character for, especially in Act 1. But the rest of it was pretty okay. The ones that she filmed with like her family and stuff. And y'all noticed that Cecilia did not have any friends. So but yeah, that's really it.
I guess I don't really relate to my character that much, aside from my younger sister telling me that I act like a mom a lot of times.
I remember you told me that once. Yeah.
Okay, well, a lot of people who are close to me in Lubos, they know that, like, my family, they think of me as like, oh, you're just another mom. And I'm like, but for me, I don't really act like my character because I'm actually not really the type of person to kind of be. So I guess like the word chismis, I don't like chismis that much. I don't really like that kind of stuff. I'm more of the person who listens to it rather than like voices out.
And contribute to it.
Yeah, I'm not a person to contribute to it, but I relate to Mrs. Abalos's just, I guess, spirit in general because to me it's very warm. Her presence is very, very warm. And I think that's what I really connected with when I was trying to get into character. But to me, it didn't really feel like I was like getting really deep into something. It felt like I was genuinely just being myself, but in the eyes of like seeing it through my mom almost.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah. Thank you guys for sharing that. So this is again kind of going off of the family conversation that you guys both brought up from the previous question. How important to your characters is upholding the family values and desires?
It's her entire personality trait at this point. like basically like keeping her family happy. I know she has a lot of scenes with, there was that one scene with her sister Perla, talking about like, what did you want to be when you grew up at the end? And it was because I guess in a way she wanted confirmation that she could go for her dreams because she don't want to disappoint like her family, you know. So that's why when Perla said like, oh, go for your dreams, Cecilia, like do it for me since I couldn't do it for myself. And I was like, okay, good for Cecilia. Go ahead, do it, girl. But I mean, but yeah, and then also the family scenes also like with everyone in it in the beginning. She's she's a homebody type of girl. She never leaves her house, really. So, but yeah.
With Mrs. Avalos, like she's like the mom. I believe that Mrs. Avalos believed that she was the person that had to keep everything together.
Right.
To her, it felt like, oh, I have to be the glue of this family because in a way, I know that my husband is very hard-headed and very stubborn, whereas my son is someone whereas Jared, she believed that he was someone that needed just a place that was open and comfortable. Even though the mom, like Mrs. Avalos, didn't really see that at first, to her, like family meant everything. She wanted Jared to be happy and she wanted her husband to be happy. And like that's it, whatever she could do to do that for them was really important. And as like a personal thing, like I relate to Perla very much in this movie, in this play, because to me, I'm the oldest sibling who has to kind of take care of my younger sisters and make sure that everything's okay. And like in that way, I also like connected that with Mrs. Abalos, because for Mrs. Abalos, family is everything, but she just sees it as a way to keep her family together.
I really like that you draw that parallel between Perla and Mrs. Abalos. It's something that I didn't think about while I was seeing the play, but yeah, that's super interesting. And I can definitely see like the connection that you're trying to make. Yeah. Moving on to another question. This was actually from Instagram. So what was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome when playing or enacting your character?
John.
He's down from the shadows.
Oh my god. Yes, he's here.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, they can hear you, John.
Hi, top president.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh,
so we're
sorry.
just,
So
like,
we can hear John.
Yeah,
I
we
was
can hear
doing
John from the background just like talking.
that's
And
like,
he's
whoa.
whispering. He's like whispering as if he's like trying to not be too loud
Yeah.
in a quiet place.
Basically, he was like sharing with Julia and Gabby that the question I just asked was from him. But yes, so again, like, what was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome when playing or
He says,
enacting your character?
John says, John literally says, I know who asked the question. Well, who else would know you asked the question except from him?
Yeah.
Well,
sorry, John already revealed it.
Oh my
It's because
god.
he had to like speak out of nowhere. I had to. But yes. So, Julia, do you want to share?
Well, repeat the question.
What what was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome when playing or enacting your character?
Lot. When I read the script, I got really nervous. Like I said, I was like, I have to act that. But it was the part where she wasn't accepting of Jared. That part was like mentally draining. I was like, oh my god. I forgot. I don't remember exactly what she was saying, but it was like, it was so hard to act being like such a bad friend, because in real life, like I would never do that like in real life. And so but Iser definitely made it really easy to work with him, because Iser's really good at like, acting like he was very good at acting sad. And so I was like, okay, if this is how he's going to portray Jared, then I have to act not super friendly. So but other than that, I don't know. Also the whole journalism thing, like her not wanting to go for her dreams. I was the disappointment. That was one part that was pretty kind of easy, I guess, but it was pretty hard to act, just because it's like, oh, I feel really bad for Cecilia. Like she doesn't do things for herself as she should, because she thinks that she's I think of other people before myself. She doesn't ever put herself first, which sucks. But
Yeah.
Let me think. I guess if you guys have seen, I actually I have like a couple scenes in Act 1, and I do not do any in Act 2, so that's like not really that big of a spoiler. But I think the biggest scene, the hardest one, was when Jared came out, because every time we'd refilm the scene, I couldn't get myself to completely stay in character. No matter what, I'd always like, my eyes would always be glossed over with tears, because I wanted to start crying. And then afterwards I'd be crying. And they'd be like, "Are you okay, Gabby?" And I'm like, maybe not. This is really hard, because to me, I haven't been in that situation, or I wasn't like super, super close to somebody who had like come out with such emotion. So like I didn't know what it felt like to be on like the receiving end. So like in a way, being Mrs. Abelos in that scene helped me understand like how hard it is for people to really come out of the closet, and like how much emotion I felt in that moment, even though technically it is just a scene, like we're back to our normal selves after, but it's really something that still impacts me today and really makes me think about the LGBT community in a different light.
Right. Definitely. And I think Heiser did so well in conveying those emotions. Like he really built it up, because you see from the beginning of Act 1, like you notice that sadness in the eyes. I commented a lot on that when you were watching it. I was like, Heiser, your eyes, because it was so like it was really conveying like real sadness, and I was like, that's crazy. But
Well, I want to reveal a little bit of behind the scenes tidbit about that specific scene. The original line before the end of the scene was like, he was just gonna say I'm gay, but he asked Matt to say mom, dad, I'm gay. Like he asked him to say that because this is what he said. I think almost word for word that Matt was arguing, oh, I think that may be too many words for Jared to say in that moment because he's so emotional. But then Jared was like, well, that's why it's so much more important. It is because when you add those words, mom and dad, he's really trying to talk to them. It's like, it's almost as if he doesn't say as if he's screaming, but you can feel the emotion as if he just wants to reach out and just be held and just comforted. And that's exactly what he wanted to convey. That's what he explained to Matt. And he's like, okay. So he adds the mom dad part to the scene, to the scene. So that's actually, that explains like Jared really had like a lot of thought put into the character, especially by Iser. I feel like that's not the only instance where he actually changed the script for himself because he felt like he could deliver better with a different input. So I really thought that was so amazing from Iser to do that for Jared. And that's why like I get extra emotional about the scene.
Yeah, I'm really emotional.
Like you could just feel the input that he puts in, the thought that he puts in is just so amazing. So if Iser's watching, by the way, you are amazing. I love you.
Shout out to Iser.
Oh my god, I can't handle it.
Oh my god. Well, later today we're gonna have a separate interview with
John just said it's all right.
You gotta stop doing that. It's like a little creepy, you know? Like, no,
Y'all, he's trying to diss Iser.
Like this voice coming out of nowhere. But yeah, we're gonna have an interview session later with Iser and Dylan. So that's a must watch later because there's a lot of questions, you know, to ask, and there's a lot to hear from Iser specifically. But it's like he was so reserved the entire time that even when he came out, like it made so much, like there was so much impact even though it was delivered very quietly. Oh my gosh,
it's legit. I think it's one of the best scenes.
Yeah, it is definitely, no question.
And also I don't know if I was like, oh, I'm glad people caught that in like the comments when it was premiering. But Cecilia was very disappointed when Jared very disappointed when Jared came out to her, not just because of like her morals from her family, but also because Cecilia did like Jared, and that was one part that made filming that scene hard. We refilmed it like more than a few times because something just wasn't adding up. And then Matt was like, Julia, pretend that Cecilia is like either in love with Jared or he like really likes him, and that's why you're so disappointed that he came out to you. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's heartbreaking.
I know. I'm shaking.
But yeah, and that was the one scene that was really hard to film too, that we did like over again.
Right. Crazy. Okay, so this next question kind of relates back to what Gabby was saying a while ago with Perla. If you could become any other character in the play, who would it be and why?
I can't say. They're not. I can't say because they're not in the play yet.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I guess the best answer to Julia's would be like someone you haven't met yet.
Yes.
Okay, someone we haven't met yet, but could you just a little bit give like a brief description of that character? Just a brief description.
They are very caring.
Oh.
That's it.
But I think she is also very caring character, right?
Yeah, I can't say anymore, but it's definitely. But yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting that character in like
tomorrow.
editing and everything. But
Okay.
I'm excited
Oh
for
gosh.
you guys to meet
I'm
them
excited
next
too.
week.
I think I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember. So I guess for me, it would be Perla. There's
Yeah.
no shocker there. I was talking about it earlier, how I feel like I relate to her in such a deep level that it felt that it was just an extension of me in that moment, because
Great.
I'm always like stressed, anxious, the type of person to just have constant brain fog, because in a
Mhm.
way, like you're doing when you're an older sibling a lot of times is you're just focusing on what you need to do to make sure things get done.
Mhm.
So for me, I'll wake up in the morning sometimes and I'll be like, okay, this is all the housework that needs to get done, all the homework, all of the things, because um I'm like one of them. I'm pretty much almost the main caregiver
Right.
for my younger siblings. So like I really relate to Perla, to where you need to have that type of maturity and that type of sacrifice to be able to give that. But I feel that sometimes older siblings, I wish that they didn't have to give that sacrifice, but sometimes it's necessary to make sure like younger siblings and everybody else can succeed. So like I really want y'all, if I had the option to go back in time, I would have tried out for Perla too.
Oh,
One
for Perla's
thousand
character,
percent.
yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
loved
it's
working.
very emotional.
Yeah, I loved working. I loved the scenes between Perla and Cecilia. Definitely shows the big sister, little sister mentality, with Perla always wanting to like Perla saying that she sacrificed her own dreams for her siblings. And I'm just like,
Right. Yeah, and not only that, but she also introduces like this super important like um topic in the Philippines about dreams, and then the socioeconomic like reality in the Philippines, right? That we
yeah,
can't have that because we don't have the opportunity for that. First
yeah,
of all, because it costs so much money to become that person that Pearl is actually dreaming of becoming, right? Like that hits home to a lot of the people in the Philippines.
yeah. It's definitely money driven, a lot of the jobs
Mhm.
there. It's really, if you wanted to become like something else that wasn't I guess like real, because like a teacher and then and like an astronaut is like more far-fetched than being a teacher. Like
Right.
only people who have money go for those dreams, because if you don't have them, then you have to, it's like step by step, you have to have money before you
Yeah.
reach your dreams.
Okay, so I've probably said this a million times. I think a lot of people in Lewis have heard me say this, but my dad always told me that if you choose love, money comes after. If you choose money, love comes after. And when it comes to, I guess, a lot of people in the Philippines, like they have to choose money, so they have to love their job. It's not like they chose money, then they love their job. It's they have to choose money to survive. So then they'll love to have their job because that's what's giving
That's what's
them
going to
a
keep the
life.
family alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
So
survival first, and then
yeah,
your dreams.
with
Right.
my dad specifically, he wanted to be a pilot, um, but
Yeah.
he did it, and he ended up becoming a nurse. And what he always says to me is that at some point I ended up loving my job, but that's because I was able to bring my family to the U.S. and to have a life here because I wasn't born here. And now he really loves his job, but now he's pursuing something that he actually wants to do
Right.
because he has the money to do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the Philippines just don't have that. And it really breaks my heart that people really can't, a lot of people aren't able to follow their dreams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my mom
definitely.
was the same. She got her bachelor's in the Philippines in accounting, and then she went back to
My mom
school.
too.
Yeah, and then she went back to school in 2014 for nursing, and now she's a nurse. So it's never too late, you guys, to achieve your
No.
dreams. So
Yeah, my dad's achieving it at 50 something.
yeah,
I'm not
so
going to say a
mine.
specific age, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd be
It's
proud
never
of me.
too late. Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
guys for sharing that. That means a lot. And I'm pretty sure like everybody else who would hear it would very much appreciate you guys sharing it. Such an important, topic. And moving on to the next question though, do you guys think there are any differences between the Del Rosario family and Abelos family relationships? And if so, can you share a little bit about those differences?
Julia, is it okay if I go first?
Yeah, you go ahead. I was thinking. So.
I guess like to me, I immediately thought this when I read about both the families. And to me, I feel like they're both superficial. At the beginning, they're both extremely superficial because with the Abelos family, they are people who kind of just focus more on, getting into a good school, getting into a good college. And with the Del Rosario family, at least from what I've seen, it's all about, you need to become a teacher to be able to support this family. You need to do this, you need to do that. And with both of the families, there's this pressure to have to do something, to have to be a certain way. And there's this thing in like therapy, it's called the IP, the identified patient, where everyone in the family, they push all of their problems onto one person. And in the Del Rosario family, I feel like that person is Cecilia. And I feel like in the Abelos family, that the identified patient is Jared.
Yeah.
These two people have gone through so much through their families and so much hurt and pain that it's, how do I say it? The families are connected in that way. And I feel like once you look at it that way, it's really hard. In a way, I feel like it's hard to differentiate them aside from them living different lifestyles and being in different countries.
Mm-hmm. Their financial situations are very different. Jared has more opportunities than Cecilia. That's why Cecilia was pushing Jared to go for his basketball scholarship, because she was like, if that was me, I would take that opportunity and run with it. But with Jared, he didn't grow up with that mindset. He grew up with, I want to do what I want with my own life. But Cecilia is like survival of the fittest first, money first, and then love type of thing. And so that's why in the beginning, when they were like on video chat saying, oh, I decided to go for this fashion scholarship, and I was like, and Cecilia seemed very like disappointed, but also tried to sound supportive, just so, because like, yeah, they're friends. She doesn't want to be like not supportive of like her friend's dreams, but she was just like, if that was me, I would do the basketball scholarship. So she was just trying to put herself in Jared's shoes. And I guess that's why Jared and Cecilia also get along pretty quickly too, is because they relate a lot to each other in that way, with the patient thing.
I realize that you and I have like very different answers, but I like it's because I feel like they're so similar. It's just that the only difference is that they just have different family dynamics because of how many kids there are.
Oh, yeah.
Also, like each of the kids have their own personalities. But if it were just you, in my personal opinion, if it were just Cecilia in the Del Rosario family, and if it was just Jared in the Abelos family, it would be more similar.
Yeah, because like, yeah, there is definitely I don't know but it's like in real life. There's definitely a personality difference between people who are only children and children with siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that in Jared and Cecilia.
Definitely. Thank you guys so much for answering that question, because that was like one thing that I was starting to notice when I was watching and then rewatching Act 1 was there's some very striking differences between the two families, and majority of that is because of, first of all, like where they're residing, right? Like one family is over in the Philippines and the other family is in America. Yeah. Moving on to the next question, and we've kind of talked about this like at different times, but what's your favorite scene or moment from Act 1, if you have any? And I know you guys do.
All the voiceovers.
Honestly.
I didn't have to like act like face on camera, but like trying to get into the mindset of like actually writing letters and phone calls. It was the best. And then the hardest part was definitely not seeing like Jared's part of it, because it is like Cecilia responding to Jared and vice versa. So I couldn't hear either's part until I watched it last Saturday, and I was like, oh my god, it's so good. And then also like really the part where they typed, I didn't know that was gonna happen, and so I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cute.
We gotta shout out the editors who worked on this.
Gosh.
Andrew and Sal, who is assistant video editor. Y'all did amazing.
I know.
Like, yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Blew my expectations out of water, man. Like they did so good. But yeah, like recording those what's it called? Voiceovers were the best part. I still have them on my phone. So
yeah.
I'm gonna keep them forever. But yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, I already said it, but my favorite scene is when Jared comes out. And I want to explain why. I actually kind of explained this to them before we started filming, but I didn't say the whole thing. So in the scene where Jared comes out, it's before the parents confront Jared. I say, like, what's fit? Right? And long story short, I didn't know what fit was. And I thought you were supposed to pronounce that. I legit thought you were supposed to pronounce it like that, and I was like, and like Matt had to explain it to me.
Oh my god!
I was reading. I was like, "Is it not supposed to be? Is it supposed to be fit?"
Exactly. That's what I thought. And I was like, "This is gonna get real. This is gonna get real. I'm gonna get really comfortable when I talk about this, because like I legit thought that. Like that's why it sounds so convincing when I say that one line." Because like I genuinely thought that for like most of the time we were filming.
Fit.
Yeah.
So I love that scene for that additional reason.
Right.
But for the most part, I just love the scene because it's so emotional and it's just so raw, and I love that. Love that from Jared and from I love that from Jared, Lawrence, and I, and how we kind of played off of that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one other key moment in Act 1 was when Jared was trying to discover his identity, right?
Yeah.
He was like, and how he saw like Finn's profile on Instagram or whatever, and then started realizing that Finn was in a relationship and stuff like that, and then he felt like a certain type of way, and then like the progression of what he was searching. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like from first looking at the wardrobe and then like walking around being so uncomfortable and then like searching every single thing one by one, like you see how it progresses, and then you get to like the defining moment where he becomes like honest with it, right? And there's like I think 2-3 scenes where he becomes honest with it, and that was just like it builds up so beautifully. It really like it drives you emotionally. That's crazy. Shout out to him again.
Oh my god. That was the part that made me like actually tear up, because I didn't know how they were gonna film that. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, it could not have been any more perfect.
I know. It's so good. It's so good. I'm so proud of everybody. But okay, this other question is more about kind of like you and your relationship to either your character or your fellow characters. Is there anything you learned from your character or fellow characters? And if so, what was it, and how has it impacted you, if it did in any way?
With Cecilia, she's definitely still in the middle of her figuring out phase. You'll see more of it in Act 2. So for now, I want to say that the thing I really learned from her was just to go for it. I have like in real life, I have a hard time like trying to achieve things because it's like, oh, I'm too scared to like do anything. And so that's why when I auditioned for Lingid sa Akin, I made what's it called? I texted Izer and I was like, Izer, how do you do this? And he was like, oh, you can audition with me. And I was like, oh, okay. That was the first time I really went for something like in Lubos because I was like barely in Lubos. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And I joined with Izer, and then me and him got paired up together as Jared and Cecilia, and that's one part that I really got from my character was just to go for it, don't hold back on any risks. But yeah,
thank you so much for sharing that.
I guess I didn't learn much from Miss Avalos because to me she's kind of a more surface character just to help progress Jared. But like I learned a lot from like how Izer played his character, like not Jared himself necessarily, but like just Izer in general, because I felt like Izer before when I met him, like he was already so like kind and very sweet and very neutral. But then as like seeing him like work with Lawrence and I, who plays Lawrence plays Mr. Avalos, I actually got to see him be so vulnerable in a way that I've never seen him before. Like I realized to myself that vulnerability does not fit one shape or size, and that vulnerability is however the person defines it. So I might say something that's a little bit personal and feel vulnerable in that way, but other people might feel vulnerable by being willing to hug another person or being willing to actually be honest with themselves. And there is so much different types of vulnerability, and I really learned that from Jared and from I think how a lot of how the script is portrayed. I learned that.
Right. Definitely, yeah. It gets very yeah, there's so much to learn from Jared's character for sure, but specifically like how Izer delivered the character. And just moving on from there, we know where Act One left us. It was such like an intense emotional scene, and I definitely can't wait for Act Two. So is everybody else. So without spoiling any specifics, what do you think is something we can look forward to the most in Act Two?
Can I go first?
Yes.
Julia?
Yeah.
I just say all of the things that you're wondering ends up they all get answered in the end. Let's just go with that. I feel like if you whatever questions that you have, they pretty much all get answered. Everything kind of gets wrapped up really nicely, and that's thanks to Matt and everyone who worked behind the scenes on this script. But I think the other thing you can look forward to is just a lot of really amazing character progression, specifically from Jared and Cecilia. I think the most.
Yes.
That's what I think you can look forward to in Act Two.
I was gonna say, I was like the character progression, the development. Wow, like it's mind blowing. It's so good. It's so good. Out of both acts, Act Two is definitely my favorite to film and read and rehearse. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited! Oh my gosh! Like, can we like move forward already to tomorrow?
It'll be tomorrow soon enough. It'll be tomorrow soon enough.
It'll be tomorrow soon enough. Oh, I hope.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so for our last question, what's the most memorable or favorite experience you have throughout the rehearsing and filming journey for Lingit sa Akin? And I'm sure you guys have a lot. But what's like one thing that comes to your mind right away?
That's hard because I don't think the impact was from filming the play, but it was from filming Astig, actually. So I guess like I have a little bit of a different experience because you guys will actually also get to see some other other extra little things added into Act 2. I'm not going to say what they are, so I'm not spoiling anything. Just making sure. But I'm actually in one of those other things, in the other thing that's in Act 2, but not as Mrs. Avalos. Let's go with that. That's a little bit of a little tease, but when it came to, I think, learning Astig, it was really impactful because to me, I had to learn how to be really just comfortable in my body. And like, I think that's like the first time I felt like having to really just sink in and like focus. Like, of course, I felt focused doing Lincoln Sack and doing Mrs. and performing as Mrs. Abalos, but I really felt that while doing Astig, and it really helped me like progress my character too, because I was able to feel more comfortable in the character as well.
Mhm.
My favorite parts were when I was filming the sad and like emotionally heavy scenes. That's why the funny scenes they're the best to film, because it's like really sad, and then when Matt says cut, like we all start laughing. And those are, I don't know why, but those are just my favorite because it shows that at the end of the day, like we're all still friends, we're all still, part of Lubos, and it's like it's very emotionally relieving.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God,
I
John.
can't.
Oh my God, yes,
John?
it does. It shows that we are great at acting. All of us,
Yay.
okay?
John-
It shows.
Damn, y'all were like on point in your acting. Like, it was amazing.
I know. I think John's like begging for shout out, but okay, he did great as Mr.
Yes, John,
He did
you know,
great
he
as
did
Mr.
good.
Deliverio.
He played the typical Filipino dad.
Good.
No,
Yeah,
y'all, I
he
legit
was good.
thought for a second, I was like, wait, is that John?
He played.
I was like,
No,
legit,
you
I
sure
thought it was
don't.
someone else.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was scary filming. Bro, he had
Oh my
to
God,
do
it
some of
was.
those multiple times. It was
Yeah.
scary.
I do have a question for you, Julia.
Okay.
What did you feel was, I guess, like the most intimidating part about like getting ready to play Julia? I mean, I play Cecilia.
Yeah.
Y'all, my brain is like, no. It's like,
The most
no.
intimidating part. I guess it's just like getting the mentality of a teenager in the Philippines, because I mean I used to live in the Philippines. I was born there, raised there, but getting into the mentality of what would happen if I actually stayed. What if I stayed in the Philippines and I was a teenager there? And yeah, I don't know, just like the mentality of a teenage Filipino girl in a situation where her family's not very financially stable and she doesn't have any friends. The only friend she has is this random guy in America in the San Bernardo place. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that was the most intimidating part, I guess, is like living up to that standard or living up to that character, because I know that Cecilia is pretty much I know that there's a girl like Cecilia in the Philippines, so I was trying to like embody someone that's like that over there too. So.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate that final question that you asked, Gabby. That's super good. Yeah, any other thoughts, any other comments that you'd like to share?
If you guys are watching, go watch Lincoln Acting tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Please go
Like,
watch it.
I know.
You're
Why are you
gonna
guys
love
watching
it.
this?
I'm gonna love it. Are you
Like,
kidding me?
Watch that.
I'm ready to cry some more.
Y'all, Julia,
should-
you and me need to like watch it together.
Because like I know that why are you guys watching this anyways? Go watch Act 1 first, because we just said some spoilers.
That's true. Go watch
Yeah.
Act 1 first if you haven't seen it already. Then watch Act 2.
Yeah, and also watch Act 1 before you watch this. Well, I mean, yeah.
You know, you're already
If you're gonna watch
watching
this
it,
later,
so,
you're gonna watch this later. We should have said that in the beginning.
I know you said, oh yeah. No, but even if you have seen Act 1 already, I'd highly recommend rewatching it, because retracing kind of like what happened and trying to remember everything that we first heard that led to the final moment in Act 1, like I was rewatching it and I was like, all these crumbs that were left from every scene. It's crazy, and it was so cleverly done.
Yes. everything just fits together in the end like a little puzzle piece. Like a little puzzle, and it's amazing. Genius. Matt's brain, literally.
I know. Mind blown.
Oh my God.
Oh, I cannot wait. But yes, later today too, we're going to have an interview session with Iser and Dylan. So we're gonna be hearing from Jared himself. Yes.
Oh my gosh, we've been talking so much about him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's been. I feel like we answered.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of. I feel like Iser's here right now with us doing this.
For real, like he's probably in the background saying like, "Stop, guys!" Like
he's like fangirling a little bit. Like, stop.
I know, but I'm super excited for that. Everybody, stay tuned. It's going to be happening later around 1:30. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us today for Astig on Air. Gabby and Julia, Cecilia, or Mrs. Abelos, thank you so much. And yeah, have a great day, everybody. Bye.
All right, bye.